when you are hurting or you are doing without something, you have it in your mindset it's just you, or no one understands, or why me, right?
That is a trick that the enemy plays on people to make them feel like nobody else will understand and nobody else has ever gone through this, or if they did, it wasn't as bad for them as it is for me. But it's just the enemy's way of trying to close in on you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to fight against it.
And another, I guess, saying or thought he puts in your mind is nobody cares.
Yeah.
And that was part of the, I guess, the roller coaster of emotions that I was going through, right? Because nobody cared. It wasn't, and I'm not saying nobody cared, but in my head, it felt like nobody cared.
Right.
You know, so there were not people calling to see how you were doing. There were not people dropping off baskets of food and whatever and so forth. And I'm not throwing people under the bus. I'm just saying, when you don't have those outward expressions of people showing you continuous affection in a struggle, you feel like there's nobody who cares. So get this, right? I'm at work at our inpatient unit, surrounded by people who are dying, and I'm mad. Okay, and that just goes to show you how ridiculous I was being that day, but also that my feelings were real. I had the audacity to show up on that floor with an attitude.
But you know what? It's not wrong to express and deal with your feelings. It was just kind of a moment to take a step back and say, well, this may be bad, but it could be worse.
Well, I hadn't taken that moment yet.
I'm still mad.
I was,
but that's how, I mean, you can't not validate your feelings.
I think my thing, you're right, my feelings were real. I think later I would figure it out, but in that moment I hadn't put it in perspective, and all I could see was me. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make. I was surrounded by grief and hurt, but all I could see on that floor was me. Mm-hmm. No, I wasn't able to, do the big family thing. But I was there with people who weren't going to get to eat. I was able to talk to people and comfort people and do all the things that I thought somebody was supposed to do for me. But they were doing it for me while I was doing it for them.
And it's, and it works, the way God worked that out was perfect, because he sent somebody to them who could bear witness with what they were feeling, because you were in that same position. So now when it comes to someone needing that type of comfort, you can say, with the help of the Lord, I know how to give that, because I've experienced it, or that's what I wanted, or whatever it may be. But that's how God takes care of the body, and how when we're going through things, we don't think that it is a blessing, but when you are able to take a step back and take yourself out of it, then you can see the hand of God who was orchestrating it all. I thought about Joseph. So if you all are familiar with Joseph, he had the brothers, and his brothers sold him into slavery, and then it was like you just go down deeper and deeper, But he went through all these things, and then he even had glimmers of instances where he thought he was going to come out. When he told a dream, the king needed a dream interpreted, and he said, I can interpret the dream. And then the guy was supposed to go tell him, and he didn't tell him. Y'all gotta read the whole story to get it. But the point that I'm trying to make is that all along, everything that Joseph was going through, what it looked like, what was meant to destroy him, ultimately put him in position to be able to save a nation. And that's when you get past the me to the kingdom thought and process.
Right.
Because God is, yes, he's concerned about me individually and Sylvia individually, but he also has a whole kingdom to consider. And sometimes he uses people like me and Sylvia to contribute, or you, to contribute to tending to something in his kingdom.
The process. We have, and we just talked about this, we have a very straightforward, logical thought, right? If you want to make me feel better, have somebody do this. You want me to be happy, have somebody do this. But in God looking at the entire kingdom, your feel good, your come up, your prosperity could be coming from a totally different direction.
Completely different direction.
And people you may or may not know, right? And so I needed to feel love and comfort, and I ended up feeling it by watching how our family loved and comforted each other. And then the other thought was blessing. We also have a predefined notion about what a blessing is, right?
It's that house, it's that car, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you got a house, and you got a check.
But the blessing came from that spiritual connection with the Lord, and him being able to, like Coneshia said before, she found him to be a provider. I found him to be a comforter. You know, I found him to be love and peace and joy. So the blessing isn't always that tangible thing. It wasn't my plate that year. I was on Thanksgiving giving thanks for what was really important. I had to be there that day for whatever reason. And if it took me copping an attitude, being ignored by people to get down there, then that's how I had to get there that day. And you know, it made me think also about what you said. I had to learn. The truth was, I hadn't been so hot with checking on the sick and the shut-in before I had to sit with the sick and the shut-in.
So I was the sick and the shut-in,
right.
Not necessarily me, but I was with them.
All right, until I had to work with them. I hadn't really been doing all of that.
And I want to say. My husband says that it's hard, and I'm not saying that he coined the phrase or anything, but
if he did, she's copyrighting it right now.
It's hard to continue to feel down when you're doing something for others. So when you do feel down, when you do feel, lost, or you're grieving, or whatever it is, whatever emotions you may be feeling that are valid or not, whatever it may be. But however, whatever it is that you're feeling, proceed to do something for someone else.
Yes.
Maybe it could be a phone call. Or maybe it could be a basket of food. Not even put limitations on what it is that you're able to do, because sometimes it's just an encouraging word. Sometimes it's no word. Sometimes it's just being there. But when you step out and you do for others, like Sylvia did that day, she was blessed, and the Lord was able to call things back to her remembrance. I did these things for you. And the Lord does that for us. When we put ourselves out there for someone else.
You can tell him he was right that time. It was hard to stay down. See? You can tell him he was right. It proved itself that time. Some things you can do this year to help somebody else. Coneshia said, phone call. Basket of food. That's a really good one. If you like to bake and you like to make Thanksgiving dinners, just because you can't have the household of 20 over this year doesn't mean you can't make some meals and box them up. Are there some single people, some widowed people, some people who have sick children or a lot of children that you can deliver food to? You can do some shopping for people. Grocery shopping, clothes shopping, winter wear shopping. You can do reading, coloring books and things like that for nursing facilities. You can sign up some places to volunteer and do things, even in social distancing. Those who are in need still are in need. The pandemic hasn't changed their need unless it's made it greater.
Right.
So there are multiple opportunities out there for people to serve, to fill their time this year. So if you can't do the usual, do something special or something greater.
I think that was good. the addition.
Oh, I thought it cut off. I was gonna say it's the only edition. It looks like we're done.